Of course, if you watch the show, you know our mission here at Hallmark Channel is to clear each and every single shelter in this country. At least we can start here and then go from there, okay? Here today is our pet rescue expert, Larissa, and a woman who actually calls that mission a reality. Thank God I Am Out founder Susan Patterson.
Thank God.
Thank God. What did I say? God? Yeah. Well, it's
God backwards.
Yeah, it is.
God
thank dog, but
thank God.
yeah, it's
true.
both.
Yeah.
So wonderful that you are here.
Thank you.
Larissa, this story, this has been an individual and an organization that you have kept your eye on and have been wanting to bring to the show for so long.
Yes, I've been like, can we get her in yet? Can we get her in yet?
Yeah.
Finally, an opening came, and Susan was on it, and she's here, and it's amazing. You know, what you do is wonderful, and you know, if you want a dog on any given day, in any state in the U.S., you can walk into any shelter and peruse those halls.
And have a selection.
And have a selection of dozens to hundreds to who knows what. Yet, in the province of BC, British Columbia, where Susan lives, you have, tell me?
Currently, as of April 1st, we have 4 dogs of 35 pounds or under in our whole province of 5
Available
people.
for adoption.
Actually, there's only 3 because one is in foster.
35 pounds.
And that's 35 pounds or under. So we virtually have a huge desire for dogs.
And how many people are we talking about?
5 million people in the province of British Columbia.
And
That's
3
not,
dogs that are adoptable.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Three small to medium dogs.
We specialize in 35 pounds and under simply because we're a highly condominium populated province, and we have strata rules that require the dogs to be 35 pounds or less.
So where did your idea come from to start Thank Dog I'm Out?
I had 2 huge yellow Labradors that had died of old age, and my traveling had increased, so I wanted a smaller dog, and I clearly couldn't find one in our local shelters, and we always ask everybody, check your local shelters first in Canada. And I kept on the internet, and I kept getting drawn down to these rescue organizations, and I would telephone them and say, oh, I like this dog, what are your hours? And they would say, well, we're just like a house, and we're rescuers. And I didn't understand it. And then I found what became my first rescue dog, my little Chihuahua, Homer. And my sister and I drove down to Washington State, and that's where when I rescued him, he was 5 pounds. He's now 15 pounds and disabled, and was what I did not understand to be at risk of being euthanized because of his disability. And I'd never heard of such a thing. So my sister and I drove on the long weekend in 2009, and we rescued him. And while I was there, I talked to the girl that was running this rescue. She had over 40 dogs in her home. Oh my God. And I'd never, ever in my life heard of a high kill shelter. It was like a different language.
Because that's not something that they have in Canada.
Never heard of it. And I didn't understand. She said, well, we rescue these from high kill shelters. And I was like, what is a high kill shelter? She said, well, that's where we have shelters that have more dogs surrendered than adopted, and so they have a high risk of being euthanized. And as I researched, unfortunately in the U.S., 13 million dogs are surrendered into shelters a year, and maybe 40% make it out. Oh. And 9,000 dogs are euthanized in the U.S. a day.
Oh my goodness.
And so for me, it was my whole life virtually changed at that minute.
So what is it that you guys are doing in Canada that we should be doing?
Right.
You know, I wish I had that magic answer.
Yeah.
We have a very strong educational program. We spay and neuter. We have bylaws that require dogs to be spayed and neutered. We don't breed, and breeders have contracts that people sign that the dogs have to be spayed and neutered, and they will only select 1 or 2 dogs of their from their breeding that they will rebreed, but they will not release a dog unless it's spayed or neutered. And we have, I was telling Larissa, we have had situations where if a dog is seen running down the street, it would make the news that night, and the whole city would stop to grab it and save it.
it's a little different here.
It's their pride.
There's so many dogs that are stray here that are running around that people actually, like Larissa, stop and like risk their lives to. So, so what you're doing is, what Thank Dog I'm Out is doing is, you're coming here, you're taking these dogs that are in these high kill situations that may not make it out, and you're taking them to Canada, and you're actually allowing people there to adopt them.
Correct. So we have, this is a transport that we did one of our years. We did 144 dogs, and they were all adopted in 2 hours.
So these are your transport is with flying and with driving?
We do transport, ground transport and flight. We do ground transport on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis. So they leave from usually Southern California, and the transport drives all the way up to Washington. And we pick them up in Blaine, and then we have trained transporters that are all volunteers with our not-for-profit that cross over the border, and we pick them up from the transporters from the U.S., and then we bring them into British Columbia. And meanwhile, we have, with Thank Dog I'm Out, we have volunteers that are trained, accredited home checkers. So we have been in every single person who has our dog. We've been in their home. We've met their whole family. We have mandatory, everybody has to be in attendance for the home check. And we pre-approve them. We do reference checks, and then we do 1 month, 6 month, and 1 year follow-ups.
What a beautiful thing that you're doing.
They set something that I think we can definitely learn from is that Thank Dog I'm Out sets every adopter up for success. They help with training. They help with vet costs if need be. We don't always do that here.
We have to do that.
Yeah, we have. Oh, this is Holly. So Holly was from a very, very high kill shelter here in Southern California, and she was listed as the saddest dog. We named her Holly because it was December 23rd, and we were told that something was going to happen, and we got her out, and they euthanized every dog in the shelter the next day, but we got her out. That is Jules, and Jules had to be vetted and completely sedated in order to allow her to move. She was completely matted. She was unable to walk. And that is our Blue, who that front leg is completely shattered and the foot is shattered. He was in a very small shelter in Northern California that has no pain management. So he was in that shelter with no vet or pain management. So we brought him into Canada and we amputated his leg, and he's like one of our
best dog.
Crazy stars. Yeah, he's like our dog star. Yeah,
You are a miracle in the
People
making.
help you.
More information, by the way, by visiting Thank Dog I Am Out. Right this time, head to the website that you see there on your screen. We're going to win more with the family.
Yeah, come on back, everybody.
Thank you so much.